I'm Ayana Cook,
And I'm Gavin Bush.
and this is our video report on our findings on Selma. The first question is which leadership topics you are identifying? It's empowering the others, decision making, and dealing with the conflict.
Um,
Oh my God.
and
Did the leaders in the film that you choose use any of the leading developments that you have studied? And yes, they did. They used the empowering of others, decision making, and dealing with conflict. The reason why I said empowering others is because Martin Luther King Jr., in order for all the marches to happen and for change to happen, he had to influence others and encourage others that everything was going to be okay and everything was going to follow through. And I picked decision making because it's a lot of things had to be decided for, and he had to do a lot of decision making for a lot of people because everybody looked up to him. And I chose dealing with the conflict because I picked dealing with the conflict because he had to deal with a lot of racist people telling him that he shouldn't do this or he shouldn't do that, and he has to deal with a lot of racist people harming him and his supporters as well.
mhm. I wanted to add on and say that a topic that I studied was delegation and not being afraid to share the leadership title with anyone when it gets tough, since it comes with complications. So that was just another one I wanted to add on.
And another question, in what ways was the film blazing new ground, if any? I chose when Malcolm X was fighting back against the whites. And during that time, a lot of black people weren't fighting back because they were scared that something would happen to their family, or they would get lynched, or they would get killed, or raped, or various among a lot of things. And Malcolm X didn't really look up to MLK because he didn't agree with his approach towards racism during that time period. And also another thing, the accusations of MLK cheating on his current wife during that whole movement. And she used to get phone calls, letters about him cheating and stuff. And I feel like that was a big thing for me because you would never assume that MLK would cheat on his wife with anybody. And another blazing new ground is when the lady had slapped the police officer the first march because he had hit her son and the elderly people, and she was fighting it back against him. And you would have never assumed that a black woman in the 1960s fighting back to hurt a white police officers, because something like that back then was not common at all. Okay.
Okay, my first question was, after you have gone through this class, compare if there have been any changes in you. So at the beginning, I would like to describe myself as a helpful leader, someone that doesn't, of course, I wouldn't want to do everything with myself. I share the role with others. I'm very reliable and I never went against my word. After completing the course and as it came to an end, I could say I haven't found many changes in my leadership philosophy, but I have become more mindful in the way that I do things or my actions as a leader as I complete each assignment and get more knowledge on what that means.
Yeah, I also agree with you. Not much has changed in my philosophy. The only thing that I have been doing is expanding on what I already know. So, if anything is if I am changing, it's making me change for the good. But I feel like before this class, I already had pretty much a good philosophy that I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm always open to learning new things.
Okay, my next question is, how does your leadership philosophy align with the leader in the film? I said after watching and reviewing the film, I can relate to the leadership in the movie. Martin King Jr. Presented delegation and empowerment, just as she stated for her topics in the film and then throughout the entire movie. He practiced what he preached. He continued to want change until he received it. He did anything in his power to want that, and he also was pretty good at like conflict resolution. He accepted the problems that came with his role, but he didn't allow that to conquer him or give up or not want to reach the goal anymore. And he was also the most. Personally, I say he was the most effective leader in the film and was very aware of his knowledge of power.
I would say my leadership philosophy really aligns up with Martin Luther King Jr. Because one of the things that Martin Luther King Jr. that's very in common with me is that I am very determined when I want something. I won't stop until I get it, no matter how bad it hurts me. So I feel like that's the number one thing I really have in common with him is his determination for doing something that he really wants to do.
Okay. The last question is, what is the leading purpose of the leader in the film? I said that Martin Luther King Jr.'s leading purpose was to simply bring change to society. He didn't like the way it was, he wanted to change it. I said, as I stated in the second question, he was a very strict leader on himself. He wanted change, he risked his life for it, and he was going to continue to fight until he received it. And he wanted to do it peacefully as well. Insert the clip. As you can see in the clip, after this march, they received their right to vote. This is the change that he wanted. That's what made it happen. He ended up using a peaceful movement to do so. He accomplished his leadership goal.
Okay. To rebuttal on what she said, I feel like his purpose was to encourage the people around him because a lot of black people back then they didn't really have a lot of confidence and encouragement when it came to stepping outside of the box to racist people because everything they knew was based on them. So I feel like he gave them a new outlook on life and that it's more things to do and we don't have to be stuck just like this. So I feel like his main purpose in the film was to keep the people empowered. Okay, here's our couple thoughtful questions about the topic and our film. Mine was if everyone had the same thought process, would things be a lot easier for everyone in the world?
My thoughtful question was, why do you think the leader in the film felt so strongly about their right to vote that they had to risk their lives to bring change? Thank you
That's
for watching.
the end.